Hey guys, we're going to be experimenting with some Scarabs and some Necron Glow effect without using Games Workshop's Tesseract Glow. So stick around and see if we pull it off. I indicated these by hand this time, like a peasant, and I used Vallejo Black. We had 3 Scarab bases to do in total. I didn't go too mad with the detail underneath and getting everywhere, but I did try and get a layer on. I'm very hard on my brushes. I've been having some issues with the ulnar nerve in my left hand as well, so my little finger and my ring finger feel really tingly. Don't get old, guys. Once we've finished layering up the black paint for the undercoat, we are going to start dry brushing on some Vallejo Gunmetal Grey. It's a nice dark silver and it's great for adding dry brush layers over the top. I really like it. Being the impatient man that I am, I had some issues with the paint for the black not being dry. Learn from my mistakes. Give your paints sufficient time to dry before putting the next layer on. Such a simple bit of advice, and just in the heat we're having at the minute, I just thought it would have dried faster than it did. So I was sat there waving it in front of a fan, waiting for it to actually finish up drying. I can't recommend batch painting minis like this enough, especially if they're in a squad. Pick out 3 like I'm doing here, or maybe if you've got a squad of warriors, do 5 at a time. Do the undercoat, then do the base coat, and do the highlights on all 5, and just step by step. It makes everything a lot faster. In my mind, anything that helps you get to the end of a project actually finished is gold. Like, the amount of times I've started something and then just kind of forgotten about it. This Necron army, for example, it's been in a box for a couple of years now. I need to actually get it finished. So we've got the ball rolling and hopefully these are going to turn out really well. So we're dry brushing a layer of Ironbreaker over the Gunmetal Grey. That is by Citadel. And I've been slowly moving over to Vallejo over the years, but I do still have a stockpile of GW Citadel paints that I'm trying to get through. Slowly phasing them out just because of the shape of the bottle. I like the Vallejo dropper bottles. Nothing wrong with Citadel, they're a very good paint. Next up, we're painting that little band at the back of the Scarab in Vallejo Copper, just to give it a little bit of extra detail, make it look a bit interesting. And it just looks a bit more technological in my mind. There's, I think copper kind of says wiring and circuitry, and even though Necrons don't really use kind of electronics like we have, I think it just, there's a bit of a license there. It makes it feel more robotic. In my head anyway. Could have highlighted it up to gold a little bit more here, but I chose not to. And you're going to see why in a minute. I think this is really nice because it gives the illusion that there's kind of circuitry on the inside and components and stuff, but there's a layer of living metal on the outside which acts as armour. I don't know, in my head that's where I was going with it. Let me know what you think in the comments. How do you paint your Necrons? Especially how do you paint your Scarabs? So we're going to be doing a final highlight on the living metal section now. We're using Runefang steel. Doing a bit of edge highlighting and a little bit of just general, where is the light hitting the Scarab's body. I'm trying to pick out in a brighter steely colour for the living metal. So this bottle of Runefang I have had for a very long time. It started, well, it's long since started to separate out. I have to, every time I use it, physically mix it up again. So it's getting a bit of a problem. I probably should put it out to pasture, but until it actually becomes unusable, you know, I'm a bit too tight to be throwing stuff away. Like I say, we are going to be doing some glow effects on these scarabs, so a lot of this highlighting is probably not going to be visible, and it's probably going to be irrelevant, but I do it anyway because it's structure, and you might wind up having bits that do poke through, and it can make it look a little bit better if it's there. Remember I said we're going to find out why I only did the copper? Well, we're going to find out now, because we're going to go back and we're going to use Nihilahk Oxide to make it look like Verdigris, like the copper internals are aging and been sat around for millennia. I can see Scarabs not really getting that much maintenance. They do a lot of the maintenance, but they get the bare minimum in return themselves, in my head. I feel like that's probably how it goes. And I mean, Necrons probably making more Scarabs all the time, so they might not even maintain them. They might just recycle them and churn them out again. Who knows? I do really enjoy using Nihilahk Oxide as well. It's one of those that it punches well above its weight. If you do anything, you pick some pieces out in copper on a model. Like on the Repulsor, I did a Gladiator as well. Just finding little bits to paint copper and then just kind of adding some Nihilahk over the top makes them look worn, old, because a lot of these components, they might be on the tank or whatever for quite a long time before they get replaced. Decided to use a darker green for the base on this glowing eye section on the top. I used Waagh flesh in the end. I was going to use Caliban green, but I couldn't find it. And I was very annoyed that I couldn't find Dark Angels green. That shows you how old I am, doesn't it? I might just be a little bit crazy. It's possible. It's probably not the age at all, right? We're going to do a bit of a glow effect now with Vallejo Intermediate Green. You could also use Citadel's Warpstone Glow. It's basically the same colour. And yeah, we're going to use a sponge to do it. It'll look really nice when it's done, and we're just going to highlight from there. So I was a little bit worried about this. I wanted it to come off more as a glow and less of a moss sort of build up on the top. I think it does, but we'll see how we go. That said, moss possibly wouldn't be a bad idea, even if it did kind of read as that, because it does kind of add to the patina and the fact that they might have been sat somewhere quiet for a very long time, so long that their plant life has actually grown on top of them. I don't know, that could work actually. It does lend itself very well to that kind of storytelling if you have those kind of things on your model. I think having a story like that is in some ways more important than actually being technically good at painting. I think I'm kind of mid. I've said it before, painting, but like with the Repulsor and my Ultramarines, you get them good enough and then you cover them with filth and it sells the story, and that in itself makes the model look good, and it really sells the army, especially from like tabletop, arm's length. I think another thing is you can use your decals if you make them look weathered or worn or torn up a little bit. These guys won't have any decals on them, but speaking of the Ultramarines again, I think I got some mileage out of those decals putting them on. It really did sell it that there were holes in the paint, if you know what I mean. And it gave, again, it reinforced that idea of a story, that they've been places and that they're doing things. And that's what it's all about for me. So I wanted to buy some Tesseract Glow today, but I wasn't able to because the shop I went to didn't have any. So I bought some Vallejo colours instead, and I wound up with yellow green, which you can see me using now. It's like a really bright, vibrant, sort of almost neon green, which is super good for those edge highlights there. I guess the Citadel equivalent would be moot green, but I think this one's a little bit brighter in some ways. And then the other one was light sea green, which I did try to find some to put in the description, but I wasn't able to. They don't seem to have it on Amazon, which is weird because they have everything else. But yeah, we're going to use that to put a little bit of a highlight on the lens on the top of the Scarab to make it look a bit more glassy, maybe. So again, let me know in the comments, what do you guys think of that glow effect? Should I go and buy some Tesseract Glow, or did we do good enough with this? I had some basing material kicking around, so we're going to put some of that on and take it a little bit further. It's basically a mix of flock and gravel, like smaller stony sort of things. So we'll see how good that is. I think it would benefit from being painted over and then like picking out the stones and the grass and in actual painted colours. But I'm a bit lazy, and it does look good enough, honestly, and they are only Scarabs, so maybe we can do that in a future video. So I'm just adding some aquarium plants here. They're plastic aquarium plants, like you get at a fish shop. I nearly said fish and chip shop, but yeah, you get loads in the pack. They're made of plastic. Again, they benefit from being painted, but you don't have to. And if you do use a knife like I am, just be careful, because you really can cut yourself quite badly doing this. Yeah. Honestly, I'm quite happy with how these turned out. I think they're going to look really fetching with some glowy Scarabs up the front, and then we've got some Ghost Arcs trailing behind. Hopefully we'll get one of them painted on the channel soon. So yeah, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave me a like or a comment, and I will catch you in the next one, and I hope you have a good day.